you can see, this is a Black Creative and Dope episode of the Red Couch Chronicles.
We're here with the creators of Black Creative and Dope.
Before we get into chat about marriage and things, you have to tell us about Black Creative and Dope. First of all,
which we are.
Chanel,
which we
Devin,
are.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
We're
These
good.
are the Tices.
It's good to be here.
And talk to us about what we're wearing and who we are and what we're doing.
So Black Creative and Dope. I created it to I wanted to design a space for Black creatives, particularly in spaces where there are not a lot of strong networks and spaces carved out. For Black creatives to just be able to connect, build community, and hopefully build connections that will allow them to keep creating in their spaces. We live in Bakersfield, in beautiful Central California. Very far away from SoCal in terms of way of life, but not so much in proximity. So one of the things that we've realized is that the communities are pretty siloed, not just for people of color, but all people. And so as a creative, I find that I struggle with resources, struggle with ideas, battle fear. And I think if I had more people around me in their creative spaces, that I would feel a lot more empowered and understood. So part of identifying a need is then coming in and filling the need.
Yeah,
so
that part.
in an effort to have the space, I just felt really led to create the space.
Dope.
And so here we are, Black Creative and Doping.
And you have to wear it.
You have to wear it.
You have to wear it. BCD.
I'm so excited.
Hey man, way
It's
to go.
exciting. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to create something, especially there's a lot of things that get created in the name of our blackness,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
so it's a great step and something that you guys are doing together, which I think is super awesome.
He's been amazingly supportive, and he's creative
He's
in his own right.
100%.
But he really just kind of digs his heels into his creative. I deal a lot more in the fear pieces, so I draw inspiration from him on just doing it scared, doing it tired, doing it late night when you should be sleeping.
Because the truth is, there's no other state of me.
No.
And speaking of them as creative, what type of things are you creating?
So right now it's mostly podcasting.
Plug.
Yeah. I podcast with a group called PSVG, or Play Some Video Games, and I have my own show with my boy Mo. It's called The OT. And that's the one show on the network that's not about video games, it's just about life. So if you ever just listen to it, PSVG or The OT on any podcast feed, we just talk about life. We just sit down, he draws questions from a lot of his students because he's a teacher, and we just kind of give advice and just talk and catch up. And it's really just us talking and having a good time, and it ends up being, some good advice for people who are searching for questions and searching for answers, basically.
So it's not like a man questions thing.
No,
it's
not at
just
all.
like
It's
life.
anything. Any kind of question you have, you can pose it to us. We take our questions on Twitter or in our Discord. So at PSVGOT on Twitter. Just send us a question and we'll maybe get on our show and answer it for you.
I love
That's
that.
dope, man.
It's fun times.
Good job, bro.
Yeah, I love that.
My guy.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being
asking.
here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good times. And you made the drive from Central California, from the
Yeah.
Baker of the field,
Baco.
and we out here.
I don't think people say that there, huh?
No
Yeah,
one's
they
I
do.
don't, I mean,
Yeah, they
I
do.
say it, but I
Baco.
don't think I get it a lot back.
Yeah.
People say
People
Baco?
say, yeah.
I say
at my
Baco.
job, it's Baco, and it is what it is.
Interesting.
I
All
don't
right.
get a lot
Go
of
ahead,
warm
Bakersfield.
reception when I
Okay.
It may also be because I started saying it and they just kind of adopted it.
Yeah,
Listen,
I don't feel like
Listen,
Yeah.
fair enough. So being in Bakersfield kind of leads us into what we wanted to talk to you guys about, which is community in your marriage and in your village, and how you seek those things out in your family and in your marriage, and what it's like when you have them and what it's like when you do not, what extents we will go to have it, how to be intentional about it, kind of all that in between. What's your story? I know you guys are in Bakersfield now, but you didn't start in Bakersfield, right? And so how did you get to Bakersfield? Let's start with that. Maybe that'll help us and get to
Oh, man.
Village.
So we were in Northridge, and we had a really nice village there. We had lots of people, and everybody just started one by one, just kind of dispersing.
right.
So we ended up in Bakersfield. Some really close friends, Mimi and Darnell, who also happen to be the godparents of our kids, they moved out to Bakersfield, and we eventually went out there to visit them. I think it was Easter, and just kind of were like, oh, okay, this is not the Dust Bowl that we thought it was. Right. It's actually civilization. It's actually kind of nice, and it's actually what we were looking for, because trying to have the village and having community in Northwoods was really hard. It's so just packed tightly. You don't have backyards and stuff like that, neighborhoods that are traditionally what we were looking for, and you could find that in Bakersfield, and it was affordable. So after being out there and visiting and seeing their church and just being oh, this is really what we're looking for, maybe we're being led to go out there, and eventually we made the move out there, and I've really enjoyed it. I've adjusted a lot better to it than I think Chanel has. But our kids can go outside and play.
Yeah.
We live in a gated
And
community
that
now.
matters.
Yeah, it matters.
It matters
It's
so
awesome.
much.
Yeah.
Hunter has a bunch of little friends all around her that she can just go outside, go knock on the door, and they can just go outside and play. And that was something we just did not have in Northridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So being able to give that to the kids was just, really, really important. Not to mention, we also have a really, really great church that we love going to, being a part of, and just, pouring into and having it pour into us. It was really important. So that's kind of the community and village that we've built out there, in absence of all of what we thought was our village, kind of dispersing all over the country. Actually.
Right.
So,
And the village stays the village. That's the
Right,
beautiful
right.
part. It's just the proximity of the village. And I think to the point of we've had it, we've been with it, and we've been without it in different iterations. So even in college, we worked for an amazing summer camp and had an amazing village, very different in nature. We were the only ones of our friends who were married amongst a sea of people who were single, dating, and college-going students. And so I think we had one set of married friends, our then bosses, but also dear friends, Tiffany and Scott. And so they were really the only role models in marriage that we had. My parents were married and separated, which is a whole different red couch. His parents were divorced and best friends, which is a whole other red couch. But we didn't have examples of people walking in marriage. So to be married, but
And
living
so young, right?
and
So
so
young,
young
yeah.
at 23, with a bunch of other 21 to 25-year-olds who were so far from thinking about marriage.
Right.
It was a village, an amazing village, but very different. And so as we started to transition into a village of we're spoiled now with our church and our pastors, but we come from another church where our pastors are deeply in love and had time for us and made time for the body and people and cultivating relationships. And so we have that now. So there's been a lot of continuity in how we've been able to benefit from the villages in our lives, but we've also seen the effects of transitioning from having everybody in driving distance within 10, 15, 20, or 30 minutes to not.
To plane tickets.
To plane
right.
tickets,
Exactly.
literally plane
Right.
tickets.
Right.
How and when are we going to see each other?
And I like that you say the village stays a village, and I think that begs the question or calls out the point of, because there are people who just don't have villages, and that's not about proximity.
No.
Right.
They just don't have people.
Absolutely.
And I wonder, I'm like, bro, how are you making it?
Yeah.
It is hard.
Without the people that I can pick up the phone and call, or go and knock on those doors, or sit down and have coffee with, or get on a plane if it's need be, whatever it is. But village is so important, especially in this married space, especially in the married with children space. Both of these places, I need to be able to call D and be like, yo, so
What do I do when?
when this happens, thoughts?
And transparent moment, I was terrified of losing Village when I moved here, so that we can be together, right? Because you guys know Roger's in the industry, and he was like, I'm not moving back to Sacramento, just so you know.
Day one.
Before we have any
I just wanna
further
make sure
conversations,
everybody's good.
we've
That's never happened.
known each other for a long time, and when we knew each other in a different place, he was like, I want to say right here and right now.
100%.
And so, I was like, oh, yeah, not a problem. I want to be with you. And then when we got the U-Haul,
U-Haul showed up.
It's the fence
it hit me like,
Everybody
wait,
stay.
I literally, when we moved here, knew Roger and 3-year-old JoJo. And it pushed me to breakdown place. I was I don't think I can be here in this space and do this coming from a very close-knit family. I love y'all. But you know what I'm saying? I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And I just had a recent conversation with someone who, and I think sometimes we take it for granted, the village that we have. And I was just sharing of, I just sit with my, the marriage mentors, or, I just call a lot of guys that are married and they're having the same conversations, and we're all together as men having this conversation about our manhood and being husbands, and we're having this conversation. It was just like, what? And
What's that?
So what do you do?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and this is no shade because I'm all here for counseling. A lot of people, that's kind of their go-to for those kind of conversations, and there's a price to that, and there's some things to that, and it's no knock because I'm a fan of it again. But
it's different.
But it's different, and to be able to just sit on my couch with D or with Nick or whatever, and to be able to talk these things through, or somebody to just call and be like, hey, you got 10 minutes real quick? Yeah, what's up? And there not be a bill attached to it. Yeah. It's just yo, so
thank
this
God
went
there's
down,
no bill attached to the Marco.
But even not the bill, just the intimacy, the closeness you have with that relationship, opposed to just somebody who's there because you're paying them.
Yeah.
And the difference between that being, I'm going to let you say the difference between that being a filtered thought, because I'm a therapist, but I can't just say what I want to say.
Exactly.
I can't just say
have a role.
I have a role.
Fool, what's wrong with you?
I have a role. And a non-agendaed time to talk about, you can say whatever you want and we won't come to any conclusion.
Yeah. Right. Just say it.
Just say
and
it.
I was just going to echo Dev's point that someone's walking through the next steps of whatever this season looks like. So after I make that call and you sit on my couch, you'll be on my couch again, and then you'll take my kid if I'm on the verge of a breakdown, or you will pick me up and we can go out for a meal or whatever, or sit with me at church, or let me cry. There's the walking out piece. There's so much value to therapy, absolutely. I think everybody in the world needs to be there, but that can't be the extent of it. And we have friends, unfortunately. I think we are right now seeing some of exactly what you said, the difficulty in walking with your partner without people walking with you all, and it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch that. It's hard to know what they're missing.
And there's a difference between friendship and village.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So you got friends, but that's not a village.
Preach.
So then how do we create village? How do we do that? I feel like I haven't, and I'm thankful, but I'm going,
how did we get here?
How did we get here? Right. I think there's a certain, we keep saying intentionality, we keep talking about that. There's a certain, me and Dee made a conscious choice to hey, we're going to call one another and check on one another, and that's going to be a new thing.
Yeah.
Right. We do that now.
We're doing that.
We're doing that.
And I know this on the man side, we can't, I'm not going to get naked in my emotions and you stay fully clothed. That's not a thing that's gonna happen. I'm not about to just be out here on the share tip and you're like, that's what's up.
Okay.
So we're both gonna need to tip the toe in this water and okay, this is where I'm at. Okay, this is where I'm at. Okay, well then we can have a more meaningful relationship.
And that's super vulnerability.
Creates intimacy every time.
100%. And if you hear kids, then that's at your house and you should deal with that. So I feel like we have village and there are people who don't. And I could feel people going, so how do I get that? How do I do that?
Yikes.
What do we
church?
think?
Listen.
There
are so many problems that I hear people talk about. I don't know how to meet anyone. I'm going to be single forever. I don't have any friends. There are so many problems that I feel people present to me that I'm just like, you want to join us on Sunday morning? Because it is. I don't know where else I think we think of it as this antiquated, dated, model of socialization, but let me tell you something. God is in everything. He is in everything. So if you are only thinking of church as this like social construct, which to some pieces it is, but he's meeting us there. Yeah, he's meeting us at Starbucks too, but he's intentional about meeting us there. It's like a two-way street. So if you're in need of friendship, if you're in need of village, if you're in need of a mate, if you're in need of salvation, of sanity, find you a church. I mean, I just feel like,
and
that's not the only way by which it comes.
Of course not.
But I gotta tell you my frame of reference.
Yeah.
I can speak. I think for us, like, we have this amazing village from our 20s, and they are still very much walking with us in different ways. But the part of like, who's gonna take my kids? Who's gonna raise my kids? Who's going to take my kids if something happens to us? Who's gonna snatch my kid up when I'm in the kitchen? Who's all of those other pieces? We saw a complete shift in what village was for us when we committed ourselves to Christ and when we found a church.
Yeah.
And that's just real talk.
That's real talk.
That is our story.
Yeah, that's just real talk.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know. I think there's truth to, and we always come back to this point, knowing yourself, right? So that you know, like Raj always has this saying, like, those just aren't my people, which sounds really mean. But you know, when you know who you are, then you know what gel. You just have to be mature enough to know. We don't vibe. We do vibe.
Yeah.
We don't do drugs. So I'm not gonna be. You know, that's just not what we're doing. And as dope as you are at work, we're not gonna ever really hang out.
Yeah.
Because you do drugs. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like,
it's real talk.
You know, so
like
you have to
said,
know yourself and know what you
Yeah.
need. Because if you don't know yourself, I don't know what I need.
Yeah.
You don't know what you need. And I always have said, like, I valued village in terms of family stemming from the nucleus family, right?
Yeah.
But
That
I
was
never
your frame of
valued,
reference, right.
that was my frame of reference. I never valued, like, girlfriends.
Can I put you on blast about that?
No, put me on blast. That's where I'm going. I'm saying, like, genuinely.
Like, not at all valued.
Was turned off.
Heisman.
Yeah, like,
You were out here Heisman.
I was like,
friends.
all of these women hanging out.
Tuck-in.
I hate that.
I've never understood that.
Heisman.
I was just like, y'all doing
Oh,
too
the
much.
Heisman is back.
Is
It
it?
was probably more of
It
like
was
that.
forward and back. I was just
Wow.
like, that's a lot.
I don't have any
and
friends.
I don't have any friends. And furthermore, I'm not missing that, and I don't need that. Me
Yeah.
and my family are tight. My husband is my best friend.
And
I feel like that's a whole red couch.
And I did have friends.
you have, and you still had like ride or die that were from Sacramento.
I had
that, like,
boys.
that, you know, like
Boys, not like men.
no
but
women,
like
who were
women, but like boys. Like,
the-
be my
that, you
dude.
know, like they had been rolling
but
together
this, like,
for years
oh my
and years.
God, you're my girlfriend. I hate that.
You weren't even.
Wow.
And then would be in intimacy together, and that was like, you led with that. Like, so yeah.
I'm coming,
I don't
but-
have any friends.
Y'all,
And I'm good.
This is too much for me. And
I don't do
friends.
I don't do
I
friends.
don't do friends.
You got acquaintances and
Oh
stuff.
no, that was so
Adrian quote.
mean.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't do friends.
And look at the Lord. Look what the Lord done did.
But I was saying that to say I didn't know myself well enough to know
Yes.
You were missing
I
that.
very much needed that.
Yeah.
And I was missing it.
Yeah.
And full circle, I cannot imagine this life without that.
Oh my gosh. Our original village was like majoritively guys. There were 3 of us women, young women, who were consistently hanging out. And so the guys were just as much my friends. They were actually my friends first.
Of course they were.
I need to make sure that is
She was
on the record.
very protective of that. Like, wait a minute.
On the
I don't
record.
need you coming in here and taking my
I
friends.
really didn't. I was really upset about that.
She was very
And
upset.
they, of course, love him because he's like athletic and he
he's
likes
lovable.
games.
Not that. Just athletic. Because I'm athletic. That's what it is.
That's pretty much all you have to offer.
Pretty much.
Athletic and nerdy. But I felt like, much to your point, I felt like that void was filled. Like I felt like I do have best friends.
Yeah.
Their names are Steve Scott DeNarco and Brandon.
Right.
And a little bit of Brian sometimes when he's not tripping, and I'm good.
Yeah.
And so literally when I started working with Mimi, we worked together first, and that was kind of how the friendship started. We were at a work retreat, and she literally, with another friend, our Italian friend Erica, backed me into a corner and was like, "You don't do female intimacy, do you?" And it's like,
That's so
I
mean.
don't like this. And this is why. Because my dudes don't back me in the corners and make me answer questions about myself. But my dudes also punch me in the butt. And my dudes also, like,
Tap on your titty.
tit for tat.
I don't know about that. Like, what?
We just kind of kept it. They actually just would, like, do butt punches.
Yeah.
Like, hard ones, like dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, what nobody touching no tatas.
Yeah, that's not a.
That's a different type of friend.
That's a
Moving on.
Oh,
That dude
we love our friends. Episode,
Yes.
Next episode.
Another couch.
Yeah, another couch.
But also,
Another
like, if I
house.
didn't go,
Another last name.
right.
that's a whole different couch.
Yikes.
I was gonna say a red leather couch, but it could go down here too. But like, wouldn't come to if I didn't go to their what happened? I didn't go to Steven's graduation because apparently said it was too hot.
Yeah, he definitely was like, I'm not coming to
Because it
yours.
was Northridge. We graduated from Northridge. So then my graduation rolled around like 17 years later, and I was like, "You're not coming?" He was like, "It's too hot." That's the kind of stuff
Petty.
boys' best friends do.
It seems like what the jump from the friendship to the boys or whoever you have is the joining of like spouses and families, right? Because it's not just, it goes from, oh, we're cool, now we're gonna bring families together.
Yeah, right.
And it's not to necessarily say that all families have to cross, like we have to be best of you guys, but I'm bringing our units together because so much of who we are is wrapped up
Is
in
now
our
this.
life, in our spouse, and who we are. And so to just seclude that to say, I have a friend who is just friends with me and not friends with us is going to be hard to start to cultivate the village.
Right.
So I think that's a big part of how you build that village, in addition to the point you brought up about church or a community that you can join to make co-opt that into some village action. And we see the benefits of it for sure, and we see the drawbacks of it for sure. And it's I feel bad for folks who don't have it, and I want that for everybody. Not and this doesn't mean just because you go to a church that you have a village.
No.
That's true.
There's still some very intentional work that needs to be done. This is like, it's like farming, bro. Like it's seed time, harvest time. Like plant that bad boy, water that seed. We're not friends. There's a gentleman who was on the show before, Keith Scales, really nice guy, really helpful. He's behind the camera right now. I'm just gonna talk to him like he's not standing there. Really nice guy.
Awesome.
And we were acquaintances, right? But it took us making a conscious effort to connect
Right.
and to do some things life-wise together. And then now, his wife and my now it's a connection. Now you're part of the community. Like now we can take that step, and it's still a process and something that you have to work toward to do. It's going to have to develop. And if we don't do that, then we're missing out on a really big component of making this a success, making the raising of the children success. Like you're going to miss a lot of that component.
And you can't be insular in it too, because what we realized, like as Devin said, as the village started to disperse and join other churches or pursue other opportunities or move out of state, we were sitting in this amazing church that we loved, but the landscape felt completely different because this was our church, 5 years running, and we were sitting there like, who are we in this space? And where we were depositing in a pretty limited space. And so being intentional, like you said, the church is not it. Who are you in the church? What are you depositing into? And how are you being intentional about cultivating those pieces?
And you go great lengths sometimes. You move.
Right.
You go to different cities. You go to different states to have that. That is how valuable it is. That I am willing to pick up my family and we're going to move and be closer to these people so that we can do life together.
Because the better that we will be because we make this move.
Right. And daycare can be cheaper.
And everything.
Oh man.
Daycare can be way.
Plus, I'd rather have my village snatch up my children than somebody up the street.
100%.
Because Hudson.
Let's talk about HUD.
Everybody
He needs
needs
an
a
occasional snatching.
Everybody
Just
needs a
saying.
snatch sometimes.
I'm saying, like,
Guys, we love you guys so much. Thank you very much for coming down.
Thanks for being
having
parts
us,
of our village.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You as well. And we need it. And it's
She's actually my dude and my girlfriend.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
She'll snatch up my hair, my lips, check me, read a verse to me.
And as a we laugh about it, as a husband.
Whatever you need.
As a husband, I'm so thankful for that, as I'm sure
Yeah.
you are as well.
Same, yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because I remember Joel Osteen saying, like, I can't be the sounding board for everything. She's got way more words than I have the tank for. So I want her to be able to have that, to do that, and then when she's then just come sit on the couch with me and we can watch some TV.
Let's be
like,
us.
cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we need all of that.
That's
We
so
need it all.
important.
I got
So
capacity
important.
for playoff season all day. Regular season? Yikes.
Because why is regular season so long?
It's so many games.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you guys very much
Thank
for
you
watching.
guys so much for watching.
Yes, indeed.
Be Black, creative, and dope. And
Me.
never
See?
Where
forget.
can we find a little? Is it?
All marriage, all the time. Go ahead. All marriage all the time. All marriage all the time.
All marriage all the time.
Hey! That's why she's my. Can I say nigga?
No.
If you want to follow and draw inspiration, connect with the community of Black creatives who are doing their dopeness, you can find us at Black Creative Dope on Instagram or Facebook. You can also get your sweatshirts there.
They're $55.
Kickback. For her promo role. Kickback.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
I choose you.